Hi everyone! Today is my 1000 subscriber special where I'll be answering all the questions you posted on my community tab, and I'm still kind of shocked that this happened so quickly. I think I gained 1000 subscribers just in under 2 months, which still feels pretty unreal to me. I thought my first few months on YouTube was going to be just me shouting out to the void and maybe having a friend or two comment on my videos, but I'm very grateful to be here, and let's get into the questions. So I'm going to start off with all the gaming related questions first. I will be saving a few of the questions regarding my favorite games on different systems and of all time for another video. But the first question is, what age should I start gaming, and briefly just what is my gaming history. So I had to verify this with my dad, and we both believe that I started gaming around age 5. So at the time my dad was getting into PC gaming, and one of the things he would do is after he bought himself a game, he would also buy me a game. And so we played games together in the same room as sort of bonding time. And most of the games he bought me early on were a lot of the humongous entertainment games. So all those point and click games like Putt Putt, Ready to Fish, Pajama Sam, and Spy Fox. So I played a ton of those games early on, and eventually I moved on to some other PC games. So I remember fondly playing Lego Island 1 and Lego Island 2, Backyard Soccer, and Legoland, which was a kind of Sims-like game. And at the time I was watching a lot of Cartoon Network as well, and on their website they had a ton of Flash games available, so I played a ton of those. Eventually, both my brother and I received Game Boy Colors for Christmas one year. I don't believe it was on launch, maybe a Christmas or two after, but we used to play those all the time, especially on road trips. And eventually we upgraded to the Game Boy Advance, and yeah, I talked a lot about this in my handheld gaming video. That was one of my early videos. And so computer games and the early Nintendo handhelds were most of my childhood. Eventually one Christmas, my parents also gave my brother and I a PS2, which we played a ton of games on that. I actually unearthed a binder full of loose discs for the PS2 that I thought might be fun to share on this channel at some point. Unfortunately, I couldn't find many of the cases that went with those games, but yeah, we had a sizable PS2 collection. I think that was our primary system for quite a while. And around middle school and high school, I transitioned more to computer games again. I did enjoy a lot of those early MMO type games, primarily the original RuneScape, and I did dabble a little bit in World of Warcraft. To be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of the MMO part of these games. I just really liked the big kind of open worlds and all the little quests and things you could do. I mostly just played solo in those types of games. But yeah, console-wise, it was a while before I played another console. My brother did actually get an Xbox 360 and a Nintendo DS, but I didn't really play too much of that. I think for the Xbox 360, I just played Final Fantasy 13 that we rented from the library one time, and maybe a few other games. My brother mostly just played Halo, so I did watch a lot of Halo 3. And I think Gears of War as well. And for the original Nintendo DS, I don't think I really touched that system at all, except Nintendogs. And then for other PC gaming, I did play a lot of first-person shooters with my brother and my dad. We were really into the return of Castle Wolfenstein, and we played a lot of multiplayer on that specifically. We also did dabble a bit in ET, which I think I preferred because it had sort of the stat build-ups that are similar to an RPG. But yeah, we were really into Wolf at that time, and I think on the latter part of high school and when I was in college, I didn't really do a lot of gaming. My time was spent, I think, on other hobbies, and academics did take precedence over basically everything at that time. But eventually I did pick up the 3DS system, and then the PS Vita and the Switch Lite, and now the PS4. And again, I talk a little bit more in detail in that handheld collection video about that history. So yeah, that was a rather long-winded. So the next question is, what gaming genres can I not really get into, and are there exceptions to this? So there are a few genres that I don't really gravitate towards. The first one would be sports games. I think especially a lot of the modern sports games, they are really focused on hyperrealism and professional players that I'm less interested in. The exceptions are, of course, backyard soccer that I played as a kid. And I also really liked Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 on the PS2, as well as SSX Tricky, the snowboarding game on the PS2 as well. I guess the other big genre I can't really get into are party games. I did play a little bit here and there throughout the years. For example, I played Rock Band when that was big, as well as DDR. I think we even had the dance pads for our PS2 at some point. And for Nintendo party games, I didn't really grow up with an N64 or a GameCube. And I didn't really have a lot of friends with those systems, so I wasn't really exposed to those types of party games. I think the first time I actually played Mario Party was in Japan. And this kind of goes into a question I was going to answer later. But I played the original Mario Party with my brother and his girlfriend when we were staying in Japan at a hostel that had just a whole array of original systems and games in Japanese. And that was a lot of fun, actually. But I feel like when it comes to party games, you have to be in the right setting with the right people. There are a few other genres that I don't tend to gravitate towards, like fighting games, racing games, and shmuck type games. I can't really think of exceptions at the moment. And I feel like a lot of those type of games gravitate more towards people who want to build up like combination skills and those sort of mechanics, whereas I'm just kind of more interested in getting to the story and just do kind of stat build-ups to show kind of my progress. So it's, again, to a different audience, and that's, I think, what's so great about games is they appeal to so many different people and types of gameplays. Alright, so the next question asks, what is my favorite One Piece game? And I haven't played too many One Piece games. The only one I've really explored is Unlimited World Red. I feel like for One Piece there are a lot of fighting games, which are not my cup of tea. And when they try to go more the action-adventure route, I feel like they don't really reach my expectations of what I really wish those games would be like. For Unlimited World Red, it is an adventure game, but you also have like crafting and beat 'em up kind of gameplay style, and it's trying to be a lot of things all at once. It doesn't really excel at a specific thing, and it feels rather unpolished compared to some of the other anime adapted video games you see on the market nowadays. So that's why I'm really excited for One Piece Odyssey that's coming out later this year. I'm just really hoping One Piece Odyssey lives up to the hype and we just get a really good gaming experience finally. I was also asked by a few people about my Vita collection, and I've only just started collecting for the Vita, so basically all the games that I've shared on this channel so far are the Vita games I own. I do have actually 2 more that will be in my upcoming pickups video. I think after I pick up a few more titles that I'm really aiming to get, I would love to do a full PS Vita collection eventually. And I guess next I was asked if I have any modded systems, and I do. The first system I modded was my PS Vita Slim. I did that mostly because of the memory card issues with Vitas, and it was actually a pretty easy mod to do. And then next I have plans to mod a 3DS system. And recently I also picked up a flash card, so this is one for the Game Boy Advance. And I really am a fan of emulation. I didn't mention this during my history, but I think in early college I was playing around with a few like Game Boy emulators and played a little bit with that, like with some Pokemon games I never got to as a kid. And I think I also played Chrono Trigger for the first time that way as well. But this is going to segue into the next question about collecting vintage and retro games and what are my thoughts about emulation and things moving forward. As I mentioned during my brief gaming history, I didn't explore a lot of those older systems growing up. I was very limited to the ones that I did play, so I don't really have a lot of nostalgia or I guess knowledge of a lot of the older systems, especially before the Game Boy Color era. I like how a lot of subscription services and the emulation community have kind of archived and saved a lot of those older games so that people have an ability to play them, because it's so hard to find some of that older hardware and software from back then. And it's also just a nice kind of way to historically see where a lot of these gaming franchises and genres started out and kind of see the growth over time, since I wasn't really there to live through that and see that kind of growth happen. But yes, from a collecting standpoint, price and accessibility I think are big factors of why I choose the systems I do collect. When it comes to nostalgia, I do have nostalgia for Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance and some PS2 games, so I can see myself going back and trying to get some of those childhood favorites. So there is sort of an expiration date to a lot of these vintage and retro games, unfortunately, because we have things like disc rot and just things fail over time. So emulation and things like that kind of allows a lot of these games to kind of live on beyond their expiration date. But yeah, in summary, I think emulation and things as a way to continue the lifespan of a lot of these games is great. But also actually physically collecting all these games I think is a really nice way to kind of preserve history. But it's not the only way that we can appreciate these games nowadays. Alright, so for the last gaming related question, I was asked which upcoming releases am I looking forward to the most. So I've already mentioned one, One Piece Odyssey, that's coming out later this year. I don't know if I'm going to get it for the PS4 or maybe try to get it for the PS5 to play later. When it comes to collecting, I don't always buy day one. Sometimes I wait. The only time I do buy day one is if there's a collector's edition I really want, or if it's from like my top series of all time. The games that I'm probably going to be buying day one include Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I am still trying to get that special collector's edition, but if I'm not able to get it, I'll just get the regular edition. And I also have pre-ordered right now the Trails from Zero game on the PS4. I'm very much looking forward to that because it'll be my first exposure to the cross-spell duology. And then outside those, I'm also really looking forward to Digimon Survive. I just love how it's fusing together two of my favorite genres, visual novels and strategy RPG, and I do like Digimon quite a bit. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know if I'll get it day one, but yeah, that does depend on how things go with Xenoblade Chronicles 3 since they're on the same release day. And some other games I'm looking forward to next year are Breath of the Wild 2, of course. I think most people are looking forward to that. And then I guess towards the end of this year we are getting the new Pokemon games, which I am interested in. I don't know if I'll be getting them day one, but that's mostly because I don't know if they'll have a expansion pass physical edition down the line like they did with Sword and Shield. But that of course could change depending on how Pokemon's received, and if everyone's talking about it, I might give in to the hype and buy it early. So we'll see. Alright, so the next few questions are related to my channel. So I was asked what made me start this YouTube channel. This is kind of multifaceted. I guess the primary reason is I just wanted to put myself out there and hopefully find other people who share similar interests as me, maybe build up a community or something. I suppose another reason is that I really do enjoy sharing information. That's sort of why you see that slant in a lot of my videos. I think this stems from my time in grad school. I was a teaching assistant, so I thought making informative YouTube videos might be something fun for me. And I guess the last reason I'll get into is slightly embarrassing, but I also just sort of wanted to develop my verbal communication skills. That's just something that I've been wanting to work on, and I thought making a channel about something that I really enjoy would be just a great avenue to, I guess, practice that. The next question asks if I plan on doing review videos. I feel like there's a lot of great reviewers on this platform that I respect and look up to, and they put so much time and work into each review that I don't really know if I will be able to kind of compare to them. So I've been hesitating making formal review videos mostly for that reason. And that's sort of why I've just been doing some casual reviews, I guess, after I beat games in my monthly wrap-up videos. But if you guys would like to see more formal review videos from me, I can definitely try to work on some. They might be slow going, but it might be an interesting thing to try. And there are a few other things I've been considering for this channel, including streaming and maybe opening up Discord. So let me know if that's an interest to you and I could look into more details for that. But yeah, I've just been really just focusing on practicing making content. That's why I've been kind of pumping out videos semi-regularly because I just know practice does really help in that. And there's just so much more that I could learn and get better at. So yeah, I've been just trying to do all this fairly organically. So to get into the personal non-gaming questions now. The first one asked if I've ever traveled to Japan, and I have. I've been twice, so I did mention the time I traveled with my brother and his girlfriend, and I also traveled with some friends too, more of a spur of the moment kind of thing during grad school. So I've been specifically to Osaka, Kyoto, Tokyo, and I've also been to Nagoya for concerts. By coincidence, some of my favorite artists were performing while I was traveling in Japan, so somehow I managed to get tickets, which is just so hard to do, especially for very popular acts. And the concert scene in Japan is just so much different from what I've experienced in the US, and it was definitely a highlight of both of those trips. I was also asked if I read any manga, and I have read manga in the past. I do like One Piece, which I am kind of behind, so please don't send any spoilers my way. But outside of that, I also really enjoyed Fullmetal Alchemist and a few other novels. But I would say when it comes to anime and manga, I did gravitate more towards anime when I was younger because that was just more readily available, and it was harder to get manga volumes back then. And they get kind of expensive, especially if you're reading them at a really fast pace like I do in like a single sitting or two. But yeah, I do enjoy anime and manga, though I'll admit manga is probably better because that is the original work for many of these, and it's more well-rounded than typically what they show in anime. Okay, and then next I had many of you ask what did I study in school, so I guess I'll share my history here. My undergrad degree was in statistics, so I received my bachelor's of science in that, and I also minored in art history for fun. And then for my master's degree, I got it in biostatistics, which is similar to statistics, but the data is more focused on biological data. So in my case, it was medical or public health related. And then I got my PhD in epidemiology, which I think I will need to clarify a bit here because after the pandemic, more people are familiar with this term, but they equate it to infectious disease, which is not my specialty. So with my background in statistics, I am, I guess, considered a quantitative epidemiologist, so I do a lot of modeling and analysis with data. So my specialty is non-infectious disease modeling, including cancer type of outcomes. And so my work is mostly kind of doing those type of models, identifying risk factors, and that sort of thing. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm working mostly with cancer-related data and doing projects around that. So I find this work very fulfilling, so that's again why I don't really see YouTube ever going full time, and it's more as a hobby for me. And then for the final question, many of you were interested in what age am I currently, and I am 31, and I have a late birthday, so I'll be 32 by the end of this year. And so that should cover everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this rather chatty video, and let me know if anything you heard today was surprising. I don't think much of it was too surprising. Like my age, I don't think it's surprising at all, given my gaming history and everything that I've been relaying in my videos. And I would like to again thank everyone for submitting questions and subscribing to my channel. It really does mean a lot to me, and I really appreciate all the engagement and comments I received from many of you. So that's it for this video. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this format. I can maybe do a follow-up Q&A for the next milestone or something, if you guys are interested. And I guess until my next video, bye guys.